In warehouses across China, a massive effort is underway. The country is buying up oil, grain, and critical minerals on a scale rarely seen before. This stockpiling has captured the attention of governments and analysts worldwide. The question is, why? Is China simply securing its future, or is something bigger at play? Headlines warn, China hoards over half of world's grain, unprecedented oil buying spree. Satellite imagery and shipping data confirm the trend. Storage tanks and silos are full. Ports are bustling. This goes far beyond normal economic growth. It's a deliberate, long-term strategy. Global leaders are watching closely, trying to decode China's motives. For years, China has been a major buyer, but the pace has accelerated dramatically, coinciding with rising geopolitical tensions. Analysts see a shift from economic goals to strategic preparedness. Is China bracing for supply chain disruptions, a trade war, or even military conflict? The answers remain unclear, but the implications are enormous. When the world's second-largest economy buys up resources at this scale, prices rise and supply chains strain. Other countries may feel pressured to start their own stockpiling, fueling competition and mistrust. Every move is analyzed for its impact on global stability. From Washington to Tokyo, policymakers are trying to figure out how to respond. The world is holding its breath, waiting to see what China does next. This isn't business as usual. The urgency is palpable. The scale of China's reserves is historic. The world is watching, and the stakes could not be higher. China's actions are under intense scrutiny. The puzzle of China's stockpiling is far from solved. So, what is China actually buying? The list is long and strategic. At the top, energy resources. China is rapidly filling its strategic petroleum reserve, importing more oil than it consumes. It's not just oil. Liquefied natural gas and coal are also being stockpiled to ensure energy independence. Food is another priority. China now holds a significant portion of the world's grain reserves, over half of global maize, rice, and wheat. The country even maintains a strategic pork reserve to stabilize prices during shortages. This focus on food security is a top priority for Beijing, rooted in the belief that a hungry population is an unstable one. Beyond food and fuel, China is cornering the market on critical minerals, lithium, cobalt, and rare earth elements essential for modern technology and defense. China is not just buying these minerals, it's ramping up domestic mining and processing, giving it leverage over global supply chains. Evidence comes from customs data, commodity traders, satellite photos, and official statements about self-reliance. The picture is clear. China is systematically building a fortress of resources. The scale is historic, and the world is taking careful note. This is not just about economic growth, it's about resilience. China's resource stockpiling is a calculated move for an uncertain future. The world is watching, and the stakes are high. Every shipment, every new storage facility, is a piece of a larger strategy. China's approach is methodical and relentless. The implications are global. The world is taking notice. China's economy runs on oil, but it's vulnerable. Over 80% of its oil imports pass through the narrow Strait of Malacca. This choke point, known as the Malacca Dilemma, is a strategic weakness. A blockade could cripple China's economy. That's why building a massive strategic petroleum reserve is a national security imperative. The goal: enough oil to weather a prolonged disruption, whether from conflict, sanctions, or instability. China is diversifying energy sources, building pipelines from Russia and Central Asia, investing in ports in Pakistan, and pouring billions into renewables. But for now, oil remains king, and the risk of disruption is ever present. The strategic stockpile is China's insurance policy, allowing it to project strength and withstand external pressure. Every barrel added to reserves is a step toward mitigating the Malacca Dilemma. It's a calculated move in a high-stakes geopolitical game. China is determined to protect its economic engine. The world is watching how far it will go. The stakes are enormous. For China, food security is political stability. The government's legitimacy depends on feeding 1.4 billion people. That's why China has built the world's largest food reserves, over half the world's corn, and massive rice and wheat stockpiles. These reserves buffer against poor harvests and allow the government to manage domestic food prices, preventing inflation and unrest. China also maintains a strategic pork reserve, releasing supplies to stabilize prices during crises like African swine fever. The drive for food security is about reducing dependence on imports, especially soybeans. By building up reserves and boosting domestic production, China aims to insulate itself from trade disputes and supply disruptions. The message: food will not be used as a political weapon against China. Food security is a pillar of national resilience. The strategy is clear: control the food supply, control the future. China's approach is proactive and far-reaching. The world is watching this quest for self-reliance. The stakes are nothing less than social stability. China's dominance in critical minerals is no accident. It's the result of decades of strategic planning. Today, China controls much of the global supply of rare earth elements, essential for everything from smartphones to advanced weapons. This gives Beijing enormous geopolitical leverage. China has shown it's willing to use this power, halting exports during disputes and imposing controls on key minerals. By hoarding these resources, China secures its own industries and can influence global prices. The world is scrambling to catch up, investing in new mines and supply chains, but breaking China's grip will take years. In the meantime, China's stockpiling and export controls are a constant reminder of its power. This is a powerful strategic asset in the race for technological supremacy. China's control over rare earths is a warning to the world. The stakes are high for global industry and security. The world is now playing catch-up. China's lead is significant. The balance of power is shifting. Is China's stockpiling preparation for an invasion of Taiwan? A conflict would trigger blockades and sanctions, cutting China off from global markets overnight. Massive reserves of oil, grain and minerals would cushion the initial shock and sustain a prolonged campaign. Some analysts see this as a clear sign of intent. Others argue it's strategic insurance for any crisis, not just war. China's leaders are risk-averse, preparing for a range of scenarios: pandemics, financial crises, or trade wars. The stockpiles are a buffer against uncertainty, not definitive proof of imminent conflict. The debate continues, but the world is watching closely. The stakes are enormous. The future remains uncertain. China's actions have triggered a global response. The US is strengthening supply chains, boosting domestic manufacturing, and working with allies to secure critical minerals. Japan is increasing its own stockpiles and revising its security strategy, deepening its alliance with the US. Europe, shaken by the war in Ukraine, is diversifying suppliers and investing in domestic mining to achieve strategic autonomy. India is building reserves and promoting domestic manufacturing to counter China's influence. Across the globe, countries are re-evaluating their ties with China. The era of unchecked globalization is ending. Strategic competition and supply chain security are now top priorities. Nations are preparing for a more contested world. The global landscape is shifting fast. Why is China stockpiling? Three main reasons: strategic hedging, industrial planning, and geopolitical insurance. First, strategic hedging. China is building buffers against shocks like pandemics, trade wars, or sanctions. Second, industrial planning. Stockpiling secures the raw materials needed for high-tech industries and economic ambitions. Third, geopolitical insurance. Reserves reduce vulnerability to foreign pressure, giving China more freedom on the world stage. These motivations reinforce each other, painting a picture of a nation preparing for volatility. China's strategy is about stability and self-reliance. The stockpiles are a safety net for an unpredictable future. This is not just about war, it's about resilience. China is signaling it's ready for whatever comes next. The world is taking note. The data shows China is focused on general preparedness, not imminent war. Building strategic reserves is a rational move in a fragmented, competitive world. True war preparation would involve stockpiling military materials, mobilizing the medical system, and ramping up civil defense. So far, these signs are not widely visible. China's actions point to national resilience, not immediate conflict. The stockpiling reflects a new era of global anxiety. Major powers are prioritizing security over efficiency. The world is not on the brink of war, but it is preparing for uncertainty. China is building a fortress for a stormy future. Every nation is now preparing for the worst.